Mental health affects 1 in 4 people in the UK. I'm part of that statistic, and this is my story. On the 27th of April this year, I was put onto a Section 2 of the Mental Health Act, and that is because I had to say something so extreme, so scary to the crisis team, that they finally listened to me, because I was desperately trying to get the help that I really wanted, but unfortunately it just wasn't happening. So Section 2 in the Mental Health Act in the UK means that you can be kept in a psychiatric hospital for up to 28 days. And in my case, I was there from the 27th of April to the 9th of May. And it's a very long time when you're in a hospital and you've got nothing else to do, no one to see, no one to talk to other than the people there and my partner Roxy who came along. However, eventually I finally got some leave, which is called a Section 17, and you can start to go out and you can start to build up to being discharged. However, on the Friday, the 27th of April, there were many problems that happened, one of which was as I was told, you're going to be discharged today. Hours later I go and find out you're not being discharged. I didn't get told that. However, in that time, Roxy could have brought all my belongings over to the hospital because obviously I had nothing with me, but then it was too late because she was going to work. So they promised me, you'll get a taxi will come, we'll pay for it because we've cocked up. Again, that didn't happen. I ended up having to pay for it, and it's these little things that when you're in there and you're in that state of mind already, they really don't help. So I broke down into tears in one of these rooms, and I was just there crying away. And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but when you're so upset you're struggling to catch your breath. That's what was happening. And that next day I got some sleep because I hadn't had any sleep at all, and that next day I woke up and I thought, right, how am I going to sort this out? And that's when it started to change for me. That's when I started to gain perspective and things like that. What's quite alarming is when I've told 2 professionals about the experiences of the crisis team and how bad it's been, they've told me straight away that's not the first time I've heard that. One being a police officer, one being a support worker at the hospital. Now, that's really distressing when you think about the fact that mental health right now, there's such a big awareness about it. Yet the failings on the NHS, the failings of the staff in these hospitals, it's so clear that people just aren't getting the help they need, and that I'm not the only person experiencing that. However, that does not mean that if you are struggling, I think you should just give up all hope. Because as I said before, I've changed my perspective on things just by being in hospital. Now, there was no treatment in hospital, there was no medication in hospital, but just by being there, being sort of almost trapped in this room, not being able to go anywhere, it really does just clear your mind and help you think about things, because there's pretty much nothing else to actually think about. One of the reasons that I don't find crisis team very helpful anymore is because once when I was having a session with them, I spoke to this lady, I won't name her name, but she said to me, what age can you leave your children at home? And now my response is quite logical and true. I said, at any age you can leave your kids at home because there's no age by law, and this is correct, there isn't, so that doesn't mean I'm going to say, yes, I'll leave my children at home. That means there's no stated age in law. However, she's then taken that as oh, so you're going to leave your children at home alone whilst you go off and do something, which I very quickly made clear was not the case, because I would never ever leave the kids at home on their own, because obviously Kylan is 9 months old and Benji is 3 years old. They're not capable of being left at home on their own. But it has now led to safeguarding issues, which means we're involved with the social services, which definitely hasn't helped the situation, but I'm learning to deal with it in a much better way than I did before. I don't want people to be watching this video and thinking, well, I'm not going to get any help at all, because that's simply not true, because help always happens in the end. You just unfortunately have to keep fighting for it. And I know that if you're watching this right now and you are struggling right now, the last thing you want is someone telling you to go and help, especially when I know I didn't. But I promise you it's worth it in the end, and I can't stress that enough. If you are struggling, call the relevant emergency services in your country, ask for an ambulance and go and get that help. I know certainly in the UK, as I said before and I'll say again, funding is very limited, and that is why people make these videos, such as myself, to tell my story and to raise the awareness about mental health. As well as that, I want to thank the people as to why I'm still here. So that's my brother Jadon, who's helping me film today, my brother's girlfriend, my family, my parents, Roxy, even just my children and my friends. I'm not going to list a long name here, but I do actually find family and friends are a lot more help than the so-called experts in this country. That's my personal opinion, that's my personal experience. That's not to say that I don't think they're going to help you at all. It's just to say that I think you do need to tell your family, you do need to tell your friends what you're struggling with and what's going on in your world, in your mind. Because if you don't, it becomes very dark and lonely, and you actually start to push people away. And that's what I did, and I nearly lost my closest friends and family as a result. I'm the Jadon Mayhew. I hope this video has helped someone out there who is in need. And don't forget that your mental health is just as important as your physical health. See you next time.